students. Today we'll start with chapter number 4, supply. Now in our last lecture we discussed about demand, what is demand, how the demand take place, price elasticity of demand. The same thing we'll study from the point of view of supply. Now, first of all, before starting with these terms, let us understand what do you mean by supply. Now, as demand, you all know what is demand. That is the goods demanded by the customers. Same way, supply we can say that it is the goods which is supplied by the producer for the consumer in the market. Now, what is production, what is supply, and what is stock? So in general term, if I say production means how much amount of goods is produced in a factory by a producer or any company of any particular, say for example chocolates or sweets, or you can take example of any clothes or any textile company. Okay, now what is supply? Now whatever the total amount of production is done by the company, that whole production he does not supply in the market for the consumers, right? For example, whatever the crops the farmers are making, so that whole crop they are not supplying in the market. Some of the vegetables or fruit they are kept in cold storage, some of them are exported. Whole they not give it to the consumer, whole amount of goods is not supplied. And what is stock? So from the production, say they have manufactured 1 lakh units, from the 1 lakh units 80,000 units they have supplied in the market for selling it to the consumers. So what about the remaining 20,000? So remaining 20,000 is the stock for the company, means that they have kept with themselves for the stock or as a stock. So whenever the need arises, they can sell it in the market, or whenever they are willing to sell, they can sell it in the market. Now let us understand all these three terms with the help of its definition. First, production. So production is the quantity of goods created by the available factor of production during a fixed time period. Now, production is the quantity of goods. Quantity of goods, number that is manufactured, created by the available factor of production. So there are 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. So during a fixed time period, so during a particular, say 1 year or 6 months, during a particular time period, whatever quantity of goods is manufactured with the help of available factor of production, that is called production. Supply. Now supply is that amount of production which a producer is able and willing to sell in the market at a given price and at a particular point of time. Now here, supply is that amount of production, means that which amount of production which a producer is able and willing to sell. So producer, whatever amount of goods he has produced, so he is able to sell and he is willing to sell, means he wants to sell it in the market, able and willing to sell in the market at a given price. Means price is whatever it is going on in the market, if he is ready to sell at, or he is willing to sell at that particular price in the market at that particular point of time, then it is called supply. Suppose if he thinks that now the price is less, so I do not want to sell, so the goods which he has kept with him, that we cannot call it as supply, because at that particular price he does not want to sell his goods, so that goods we cannot term is as supply. In short, we can say that supply is that amount of production which a producer is able and willing to sell in the market. Now here, willing to sell. So willing to sell, what we can say, that the total amount of good which is available with the producer, and from that whatever amount of goods he is supplying in the market for selling, so that particular goods can be termed as supply. Stock. Now stock is the total available amount of goods with the producer which can be offered for sale in the market as per the ability and willingness of the seller. So stock, it is the total amount of goods with the producer, means total quantity of goods which a producer have with him or has with him, that he can offer for sale in the market, or that he can give in the market or supply in the market for sale as per the ability and willingness of the seller. Means if he wants to sell in the market, then only he will supply that stock in the market in the form of supply, otherwise it will be termed as stock. Let us take an example. Suppose during Diwali, if any trader is there and he is having 500 tins of oil, and if he is not able and willing to sell it in the market at a given price at a given particular point of time, like suppose he thinks the price is less, okay, so the supply in the market at that particular time is 0, even though he is having 500 tins, or he has not supplied it in the market, so we cannot term it as supplies. That will be counted as stock, that 500 tins, right? But if he is able and willing to sell that from that 500, 300 packets or tins, if he is able and willing to sell in the market, so that 300 tins will be considered as supply. From that 500, 300 if he is supplied in the market, so that 300 will be termed as supply, and remaining 200 again it will be considered as stock. Now first of all, let us understand the three basic terms. That is, first of all, what do you mean by willingness to sell? So willingness to sell, we can say that is the entire amount of a good available with the producer or trader, that is not supply. It is the stock which will become supply only when the producer is able and willing to sell at a given price and at a particular point of time. So then only we can term it as supply. Second is ability to sell, whether he is able to sell or not. So ability to sell, it depends upon the availability of stock, whether that particular thing we have in stock or not. If it is there in stock, then we can easily convert that stock in the form of supply, right? For example, if the trader of oil, he desires to sell 1000 packets of oil, when she has an available stock of only 500 packets, then the ability to sell is only 500 packets. In short, ability to sell means if you have an order for say 2000 packets of chocolate, and just now in your stock you are having only 500 packets of chocolate, so what is your ability to sell? Only 500 packets, because you are not having the ready available stock for that particular good. So your ability to sell at that particular point of time is 500 packets of chocolate and not 2000 packets, which was asked by the customer. Third is willingness to sell. So what do you mean by willingness to sell? That is the ability to sell. The trader should be willing to sell a good at a given price and at a particular point of time. He should be willing to sell the particular goods at a particular point of time and whatever price is going on in the market. Now let us understand the difference between stock and supply. The main difference, or in simple terms, the main difference between stock and supply is stock is the total quantity of goods available with the producer or any person, retailer, shopkeeper, whatever you can say, right? supply is the goods which the producer is supplying in the market for selling at a given price and at a particular point of time. Now let us see the difference one by one. First of all, stock is the total available amount of goods with the producer which can be offered for sale in the market as per the ability and willingness of the seller. Now here, stock, we can say that supply. So supply is that amount of production which a producer is able and willing to sell in the market at a given price and at a particular point of time. So supply, what can we say? That it is the total amount of production which a producer is able and willing to sell in the market at a given price and at a particular point of time. For example, if any producer is producing 1 lakh units, from that 1 lakh units, if he is offering only 80,000 in the market for selling, right? So remaining 20,000 is the stock. But if that 1 lakh, whole 1 lakh units is giving in the market for selling, so that all 1 lakh units will be the supply. So that time your stock and supply will be same. Stock depends on production. Now stock is dependent on production because whatever the quantity is produced by any firm, from that only the stock will be there. Whereas the supply depends on stock and price and willingness to sell. Now supply, it depends on stock, that is because the quantity which will be supplied from the stock which is available with the producer. Apart from it, sometimes it is there possible that the stock is there, but due to the less price, the producer does not want to sell it in the market even though the stock is ready with him. So for supply, it depends on stock, that is the good should be available with the producer. Second, the price, the producer should be ready to sell at that particular price, and willingness to sell. Stock can be greater than the supply. Obviously stock can be greater than the supply because from the stock the supply is decided. Supply can never be more than the stock, is whatever you are having goods, quantity of goods with you, from that only you will supply in the market. So obviously stock will be greater than the supply. Supply cannot be greater than the stock, and supply can be either equal or less than the stock. Now supply cannot be greater than the stock because from stock only goods are supplied in the market. But sometimes it is possible that supply can be equal to the stock. If all the stock is supplied in the market for selling, then it is possible that supply is equal to stock. Stock comes before supply, right? Because the sequence is, first of all the production takes place, then it goes into the warehouse or stock you can say, and from the stock it is supplied in the market for selling it to the consumers. Supply follows stock, and there cannot be supply without stock. Now supply is followed by the stock. From stock goods we supply in the market. There cannot be supply without stock. If stock we are not having, then we cannot supply, or the producer cannot supply the goods in the market. So the sequence goes like production, then comes the stock, and then comes supply. Now factors affecting supply or determinants of supply. It is a very important question. Now factors affecting supply means which are the main factors which affects the supply. This we have studied for demand, that is factors affecting demand in our previous chapter. So price can affect demand, cost of production, then as the technology advance or the level of technology, future expectation regarding the prices, right? There are many factors which affects the supply. First, price of product. So as we all know that price is a very important concept in everything, whether it is demand or supply. Suppose for any product the price in the market is less, so what producer will think that I do not want to sell my product at so much less price, so he will keep his production as stock and he will not supply in the market for selling. So what will happen, it will create scarcity in the market and automatically the price will rise, and then the producer will supply his goods in the market for selling, right? So price plays a very important role in the determinant of supply. A producer sells for profit, so if the price of the product will increase in the market, obviously the profit of the producer will increase, right? So when price is more, so he will supply more amount of goods when price is more, and when the price is less, so that time he will supply less amount of goods because his profit margin will be less at that time. So we can say that there is a positive relationship between price of good and its supply. Now factors other than price. Now there are some other factors which can affect the supply. First one, price of factor of production or cost of production we can say, right? So supply is affected by change in the production. Now sometimes it is possible that the cost of production has increased, right? How the cost of production can increase? The labor are demanding more wages, or the petrol prices has increased, so the transportation cost will increase. So obviously the producer is not going to take this increased cost burden on himself. What he will do, he will transfer that burden on consumers. How he can transfer? By increasing the price of the product. So price of factor of production increases. Suppose the premises or the factory where the goods manufacturing is going on, it is rent premises, and rent has increased. Electricity, that bill units per unit charges has increased. There are many factors which can impact the cost of production, right? Like rent paid to the owner of land, wages paid to the laborer, or the cost of production increases due to any of the reasons, so which will ultimately increase the price, right? Cost of production will increase, so obviously the producer is going to increase the price of the product because the profit margin will become less if he will not increase the price of the product. So when cost of production is less, or when cost of production decreases, so what will happen? The profit margin or the profit of the company or the firm increases, and if the price remains unchanged, so the seller is willing to sell at a greater amount. Hence we can say that supply expands when the prices of factor of production fall, and if cost of production rises, so it increases. So that is supply contracts. Second is level of technology. Now as we all know that day by day new and new technology comes into place. Every year new phone is launched with very smart features, right? So the technology has become very advanced, it is changing very fast. So whatever the old technology is there, it gets obsolete and new one comes into the picture. You can take best examples of computer, right? First we were using that thick one broad screen and that one computer, then it came thin screen. First we were having that Nokia mobile phone, then it came smartphone, now Android, right? iPhone. So new and new features are introduced every day by improving the technology. So when state of technology advances, time and efforts are saved, right? How it is saved? With the advancement of technology, the machines are advanced, so it saves time. In less time it can do more production, it can save cost also, right? So greater amount and better quality of goods are produced with the same amount of money or at lower cost as compared to before, we can say. And if the market price does not fall, right, due to the level of technology, we can do more production with less cost, right? And price of the product is not reduced in the market. So what will happen? Our cost of production has reduced here due to technology, and price is same, so our profit margin has increased over here. So sellers are willing to sell more amount of goods in this case. And countries which are using more advanced technology, they are able to produce more goods at a very lower cost. Then future expectation regarding prices. So future expectation regarding prices, what you can say, that whenever the owner or the producer, if he thinks that in future the price will rise, right, so he will not supply his goods at particular point of time, because he will think that when price will rise, at that time I'll supply my goods in the market so that I can earn a huge amount of profit. So future expectation about price, it affects the current supply of goods. And if seller speculate price of a product to rise future, what they will do, they will contract the supply. Contract the supply means they will decrease the supply in the present time, and they'll keep more amount of stock with them to sell it in future. When the price will rise, so that time they will sell it in the future, and they'll keep more amount of stock with them. Other factors. Now what other factors apart from level of technology, price, cost of production or price can affect the supply? So supply increases when there is an increase in number of firms producing the product, or when political stability exists, natural conditions remain conducive, when efficient law and order mechanisms and legal system exist. And supply decreases when any of the factors changes against the supply. Now individual and market supply schedule. First of all, what do you mean by individual and market supply? Now individual supply means, suppose I am of any firm, suppose I am a firm A, right? So individual supply, I can say that it is a schedule of an individual seller showing the willingness to supply a good at various prices, at different prices, what an individual seller is ready to sell, or what quantity he is ready to sell. And same way market supply or market schedule, we can say that it is the sum total of all quantity of all the suppliers in the industry who are willing to supply a good at different or various prices. It is called a market supply. Now take an example here, like here it is given price per kg in rupees, say 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50, and here they have given the supply of apples of different firms in kg, different firms, that is firm A and firm B. At rupees 10, firm A is ready to sell 80 kgs, at rupees 20, 180, at rupees 30, 240 kg, at rupees 40, 300 and at rupees 50, 400 kg. So as you can see here, as the price increases, the firm is supplying more amount of goods, or here it is apples, so more amount of apples in kg. So what the producer thinks, that when price increases, they increase their supply of goods also. Same way for the firm B, you can observe. Firm B also, as the price increases, the supply from firm B also increases. So this is the individual supply of firm A, firm B. There are many firms in who are producing the same type of goods, and combining all that firms who produce same type of goods, we get the market supply, right? So combined supply of firm A and B, that is 80 plus 60, that will give you 140. So this 140 is the combined supply or market supply. So at rupees 10, the market supply is 140 kg of apples. Same way at rupees 20, it is 180 plus 100, that is 280 kg of apples. At rupees 20, it is supplied when the price is rupees 20. So this much quantity will be supplied in the market. Now this shows that when price is higher, so supply is more, and when price is lower, so the supply is less. So this is called law of supply also. Now this is the supply curve of firm A. Now supply curve, you can see here on x-axis it is the supply in units, and on y-axis it is price. From this table only we have written 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 and 60. This is the price. And quantity, here we took 100 difference, so 100, 200, 300, 400 and 500. Right. Now at rupees 10, firm A is ready to sell 80 units. So at rupees 10, here comes 80 rupees. So where this is the point where they both meet. So this is our point A. Same we will do for price 20. It is 180 units. So price 20, again here we'll see it is 180 units. So this is our point B. At rupees 30, 240 kg. So the here rupees 30, here we'll see 240 kg. So this is our point C. At rupees 40, 300 kg. So at rupees 40, corresponding line will see 300 kg. This is our point D. And at rupees 50, 400 kg. So this is our 50 and here 400 kg. So this is our point E. Now we have to draw a curve. So this is our supply curve of firm A. So as you can see, as the price increases, the supply in units also increases. Now same thing you can observe for firm B. At rupees 10 it is 60 units. So at rupees 10, 60 kg. At rupees 20 it is 100 kg. Rupees 20, 100 kg. So as here also you can observe that when price increases or price rises, the supply of goods also rises. And the same thing will be observed by market supply curve. This is the market supply curve, means the combined supply of firm A and B. So same 10 to 50, this is our price, which will write down on y-axis, and here on x-axis we will take the price difference. Here 200 we took, right? So 200, 400, 600 and 800. So at rupees 10, the market supply is 140 kg. So at rupees 10, the market supply is 140 kg. So here we will write down our point A. Then at rupees 20, the market supply is 280. So at rupees 20, the market supply is 280 kg. At rupees 30, 420 kg. Here at rupees 30, 420 kg. Same way we can do for price 40 and 50. So here also when you will draw a curve, so you will observe that when the price increases, the market supply of goods also increases. Means when the price rises, the producer is able or he is ready to supply more amount of goods in the market. Now, supply function. Now, first of all, what do you mean by supply function? Supply function specifies a functional or a mathematical relationship between supply of a good and its determinants. Determinants which we studied just now, that is price and other factors like level of technology and other. So supply function, it shows a mathematical relationship between supply of goods and its determinants. First of all, the short forms SX, that means supply of X commodity. F means the functional notation. PX means price of X commodity. S is for supply and P is for price. T is level of technology. PF is factor prices and PE is expectation regarding future prices, and U is other factors. These all are the determinants which you studied, right? So the mathematical relationship it shows between supply and the determinants of supply. So your supply function is Sx is equal to F, that is the functional notation, in bracket Px, that is price of commodity X, T, that is level of technology, Pf, that is factor prices, Pe, that is expectation regarding future prices, and U means other factors. Law of supply. So what do you mean by law of supply? That is when all other factors affecting supply are assumed to be constant. As price increases, supply expands, and as price decreases, supply contracts. When all other factors affecting supply are assumed to be constant. So which factors affect supply? That we studied, right? Determinants of supply. So that all the factors are assumed to be constant. Constant means we assume that any changes are not there in any of the factors, right? So that all factors we are assuming as constant. After that, if price increases, so what happens? Supply expands. And when price decreases, so what happens? Supply contracts. Now assumptions of law of supply. Now our law of supply, it rests on some of the assumptions. There are many factors which affect the supply of goods at a particular point of time apart from price. Means other than price, there are many factors which affects the supply, right? So but our law of supply, what does it assume? It assumes that other factors are constant, any changes are not there in other factors, we assume that, right? But some of the factors, they have more influence on supply as compared to price. So what we are assuming, or what are the some of the assumptions of law of supply? First, price of factor of production remain constant. So what we are assuming, that whatever our factor of productions are there, its price is constant, any change is not there in its price. Second, there is no change in the prevalent state of technology. Means whatever the technology is going on, any changes is not there, any advanced technology is not introduced in the market. So we are assuming that no change is there in the state of technology. Third, level of competition remains the same. Third thing, we are assuming that the level of competition, it remains the same. In short, we can say that whatever the number of sellers are there in the market, they will remain as it is. No one will leave the market, or any new competitor will not enter into the market, right? That is, level of competition in the market will remain same. Fourth, expectation regarding future prices are constant. Now expectation regarding future prices means that thing here, it is totally ignored. Means they are not assuming anything, that whether it will increase or it will decrease, it is totally ignored over here, and we are thinking that it will be as it is, because what price is going on just now, that same will be there in future. So it is considered as constant. And other factors like government policy, transport facilities, natural factors, etc. remain constant. Now other things which we are assuming, that any changes will not take place in the government policy, like tax rate will not increase or decrease, anything, transport facilities, prices of petrol and natural factors, okay, that all will remain constant. So these are our few important assumptions of law of supply. Now this is our supply schedule. So what do you mean by supply schedule? So it is a schedule showing a seller's willingness to sell a good at various prices is called the supply schedule, right? So here prices of apples per kg and supply of apples in kg. Now here at rupees 50, the supply is 200 kg. At rupees 60, the supply is 400 kg apples. At rupees 70, it is 600 kg apple. At rupees 80, it is 800 kg apple. And at rupees 90, 1000 kg of apple is supplied in the market. Okay, this we are assuming all other factors as constant, right? Now when we draw the diagram of law of supply, first of all at rupees 50 200 kg, so at rupees 50 200 kg supply, that is our point A. At rupees 60 400 kg is supplied, so here this is our point B. At rupees 70 600 kg is supplied, so this is our point C. And at rupees 80 it is 800 kg is supplied, and at rupees 90 1000 kg is supplied, so that is our point E. I will draw a supply curve. So as you can see, as the price increases, so supply of apples also increases in the market. So as you can see that at price 50 the supply was 200 units, right? At rupees 50 the supply was 200 units, but when the price increased to 90 rupees, so the supply increased to 1000 rupees, right? So this curve is called the supply curve, and it is a positive slope, right? So supply curve has a positive slope. Now what can we say about the relationship between price and supply? So we can say that sellers pursue the objective of profit maximization. So when price rises, they see that they will have a more amount of profit, so they increase the supply of their goods, right? So when price rises, supply also they increase. And when price rises, the producer who are not willing to sell their stock at lower price, they will also start selling their stock, right? Expansion and contraction of supply. Now what do you mean by expansion and contraction? This term we have already studied in demand. It takes place on the same curve, expansion and contraction. So when other factors are assumed to remain constant and price is varied, there is expansion and contraction of supply. So other factors like level of technology and government policy, number of sellers, factor of production, all the things we are assuming to remain constant, and only price is varied. So that time the expansion and contraction of supply takes place. Now here let us take an example. Here price and supply of apples is given. So first of all we are assuming this as our central value, that is at rupees 70 600 units are supplied, this one. Okay, at rupees 70 600 units or kg of apples is supplied. So if price decreases from 70 to 50, as you can see here, if price decreases from 70 to 60 or 70 to 50, the quantity also decreases from 600 to 200 kg, right? So which is our point here, point B, that is it comes from A to B. So that is called contraction of supply. Contraction of supply means when the price is reduced from 70 to 50, the supply has also decreased from 600 to 200 units, right? Same way if the price increases from 70 to 80 or 70 to 90, then your, see here, if it increases from 70 to 80 or 70 to 90, then your demand will expand from 800 to 1000, like here, from 600 to 800 if price is 80, and from 600 to 1000 if price is rupees 90, whichever point C over here, right? So this is called expansion of supply. That is, if price increases from 70 rupees to 90 rupees, your quantity will increase from 600 to 1000 kg. So this is our supply curve. On same supply curve, expansion and contraction of supply takes place. If price decreases or price falls, the supply or quantity supplied will also decrease. That is contraction of supply. If price will rise, same supply will also increase. So it is expansion of supply. Now expansion of supply, when price falls and supply also falls, this is called contraction of supply. That is when price falls, same way supply also forms. This is called contraction of supply. And when price rises and supply also rises, that is called expansion of supply. So expansion and contraction of supply takes place on the same supply. Now increase and decrease in supply. So what do you mean by increase and decrease in supply? That is when one factor or some other factors other than price. In expansion and contraction, what was there? Other factors were remained constant, only price was changing. Right? Here increase and decrease, price will change in favor of supply when factor or some factor other than price change in favor of the supply of good, then there is a rightward or upward shift in the supply curve. So increase in supply, that is a rise in quantity supplied, which occurs when price of the good is held constant, but one or some of the factors other than price change in favor of supply. So that is increase in supply. And decrease in supply, that is a fall in quantity supplied, which occurs when price of the good is held constant, but one or some of the factors other than price changes against supply. That is called decrease in supply. So here, if cost of production falls and the price of factor of production fall, or any state of technology improves, number of suppliers increases, any government policy changes in favor of supply. So even if price of a good remains constant, its supply will increases. So entire supply curve will shift towards right. That is increase in supply. Same way, if the factors are changing against the supply, they are not the factors are not changing in favor of supply, they are changing against the supply at the same price. So that time the supply will decrease, as the entire your supply curve will shift towards the left. And when this will happen? This will happen when your cost of production will increase, or your price of factor of production will increase, and the new technology or the technology which you are using, it becomes more expensive. That time also it is possible. And whatever the number of suppliers are there in the market, and that decreases, or government policies, they have increased the tax rate, or that is against the supply if anything or anything takes place. So that time there is a decrease in supply. So the supply curve shifts towards the left. Now exceptions of law of supply. Now what are the exceptions of law of supply? First of all, rare goods. So rare goods, we can say that which are rarely available in the market, or ancient or old things, that can be termed as rare goods, right? So certain goods are rare, and hence even if there is a significant rise in their prices, their supply cannot increase because they are limited, right? Example, any old coins or any ancient idols, you can say, or any original manuscript which was written many years ago, or any old books, ancient handicraft. So any of these things, even though their price rises, it is not possible to increase their supply. You might have seen that for very old coins in market, you are given 30,000 or 40,000 rupees even. But for very old coins it is given, right? Because their supply cannot be increased. So these goods are the exceptions of law of supply. Exceptions, why it is? Because it does not follow the rule of law of supply. What does the rule of law of supply says? If price increases, their supply also increases. But in rare goods it is not possible because their supply is limited only, right? Second comes the perishable goods. Perishable goods means which are highly perishable in nature, or which spoil easily, which you cannot store for a longer period of time. Now with the help of cold storage, means for a certain time period you can store, but you cannot store it for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, like that, right? So perishable items like fish, meat, fruits, vegetables, milk, flowers, this all, and dairy products, this all comes in perishable goods, right? So which you cannot store for a longer period of time. Now even if their price falls, their supply will not contract. Why? Because the producer or the people who are selling this type of goods, they cannot store it for a longer period of time, right? So they cannot store it, so they have to sell it in the market even though the price is less. So in current times cold storages are there, but that also for a limited period of time you can store this. Now price determination in the market. Price determination in the market means how the prices are decided for the product in the market. Whenever any product is produced, so at what price it has to be sold in the market, how it is decided, or on what basis it is decided. So this determination of prices, it is done in all forms of market, which is known as the determination of equilibrium price level. So equilibrium price, what you can say? Equilibrium price, you can say that it is the price determined by the intersection of demand curve and supply curve. Now here we are not talking about individual demand or individual supply, we are talking about market supply and market demand, total market supply and demand. So wherever the total market demand and total market supply, it intersects, and whatever point it intersects, that is called the equilibrium price, right? And this will be decided. So in this type of firms, the equilibrium price can be decided. Here an imaginary schedule is given of demand and supply, on the basis of which we have made this diagram. Price of commodity is given in rupees, that is 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. And here price, this is the demand of commodity given, and this is supply of commodity, right? This demand of commodity in kg, and this is supply of commodity in kg. That is at rupees 10, the quantity demanded is 1000, but whereas the quantity supplied is only 200. When price increases or rises little, that is from 10 it increases to 20, so that time the demand is reducing from 1000 to 800, and supply is increased from 200 to 400 units. Again when the price increases from 20 to 30, again the demand decreases from 800 units. Now the quantity demanded is 600, whereas the quantity supplied increases, that is from 400 the quantity supplied increased till 600. Further when the price is increased, that is from 30 rupees it increased to 40 rupees. So that time the quantity demanded becomes again less, that is from 600 units, now the quantity demanded in the market is 400 units, and on the other hand the quantity supplied is 800 units. Again when the price increases to 50 rupees, so the quantity demanded is only 200 kg, whereas the quantity supplied is 1000 kg. This you can understand in simple terms by taking your home example. For example, as this tomato prices increased, right? So when the price was rupees 20, so people were buying in bulks 2 kg, 3 kg, like that. When it increased to rupees 50, what people did, they started reducing their consumption. Suppose first they were buying 3 kg or 4 kg, now they started buying 2 kg, right? After that when it increased to 80 rupees or 70, 80 rupees, so what the people did, half kg, and the people, those who are very poor, they stopped buying tomato, right? So what will happen in this case, when the price is increasing, the people are demanding less quantity, but supply is in bulk at that time because the suppliers want to earn huge profit at higher price, but the people demand less quantity when the price is high. This you can understand here by this. When the price is high, the demand is very less, that is 200, but supply is very high, that is 1000 kg. And when the price is less, that is 10 rupees, that time the demand is very more high, that is 1000 kg, but at that time the suppliers are not supplying that much quantity, so here the supply is only 200 kg, right? So where the demand and supply curve, they both meet, that is your demand and supply quantity is same, at which price that particular price is called as equilibrium price. Here you can see 600 and 600, same quantity is there, that is at rupees 30. With the help of diagram also we can understand where this demand curve and supply curve meets at point E. So what is the price over here? This is 30 rupees, right? So this 30 rupees is our equilibrium price. So two things we observed, that when the price is less, quantity demanded is more but quantity supplied is less, and when the price is high or price rises, the quantity demanded is less but quantity supplied is more, right? And the curve where your demand and supply curve intersects, that is called your equilibrium price, that is demand and supply of commodity in kg. Now let us revise the whole chapter. What do you mean by production, supply and stock? First of all, so production we can say it is the total amount of goods which is created by the available factor of production during a particular or fixed period of time. Then what do you mean by supply? So supply you can say that it is that amount of production which a producer is able and willing to sell in the market at a given price and at a given particular point of time. Means which a producer is ready to sell in the market at given price and at a particular point of time. Stock is the extra quantity which a producer keeps with him, or we can say it is the total available amount of goods with a producer which he can offer for sale in the market, but as per his convenience, right? That is as per his ability and willingness, he can supply that goods in the market. Then supply schedule. So what do you mean by supply schedule? That is a schedule which shows a seller's willingness to sell a good at various prices. That at so and so price I am ready to sell this much quantity of, at so and so price I am ready to say this much quantity goes. Okay, so this we can say as supply schedule. This first column and third column. And then supply curve. So a curve obtained by plotting a producer's or a seller's willingness to sell at a various prices and various quantities, that we can call it as supply curve. Now expansion and contraction of supply. So expansion and contraction of supply takes place on the same curve. So what do you mean by expansion of supply? That is a rise in quantity supplied which occurs when other factors are held constant but price of goods is raised. And contraction is a fall in quantity supplied which occurs when other factors are held constant but price of the goods is reduced. Then increase and decrease in supply. So increase and decrease in supply, there is no change in price. Price is held constant over here and other factors change it. So a rise in quantity which occurs when price of the good is held constant, but one or some of the other factors, then price they change in favor of supply. So there is an increase in supply. And decrease in supply means a fall in quantity supplied which occurs when price is constant, there is no change in price, but other factors they change against price. So that time we can say that it is a decrease in supply. Now individual supply and market supply. So individual supply, that is the schedule which shows about a particular firm, and market supply, it shows the total quantity of an industry. Okay, all the producers of that particular type, total market supply. Supply function. So supply function, that is also very important, learn it. That is supply function, it is a mathematical representation of the relationship of supply of a good with its determinants. And equilibrium price, that is the price which is determined by the intersection of your demand curve and supply curve which prevails in the market, and where they both meet or intersection point, that is called your equilibrium price.